everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. And today we are talking all about Dr. Stone, Episode 5, Stone World: The Beginning. Before we do, though, I have to give a big shout out to my boy Alejo1999 Rodri for sharing the video from last week. If you too want to get yourself a shout out in these videos, be sure to share this video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much, and I will shout you out at the beginning of next week's Dr. Stone video. With that said, though, I'm going to go ahead and jump into my thoughts on this week's episode, and this really was the Kobayashi Maru episode of the series. And if you don't know what that means, it's a Star Trek reference. Yes, I can be a bit of a nerd sometimes, but mainly it just means a no-win scenario, and Senkuu is absolutely put into a no-win scenario. But before we do that, I gotta say, the opening bit, at first I was gonna say, I'm like, man, we are lingering really long on the end scene from last week's episode, because it's how we open this week. But at first I was like, man, we are really lingering on this. We're even gonna do the flashback with Taiju and Senkuu, like building the machine and the kids beating them up, until a tiny Tsukasa shows up, and my jaw hit the floor, because I was like, what? Until I realized, oh, it's Tsukasa imagining, probably Tsukasa and Senkuu both imagining a world where the two of them were friends before the Stone World, and how their lives could have been very different because of it. And it genuinely broke my heart. Like, these two like-minded individuals who could have been friends, like genuinely could have been, and easily could have seen each other being friends. Like, they both could have seen that, but it's just the idea that it never happened. Just circumstance meant that these two never met until now, and because of the way that they grew without each other, their goals are now in opposition. And it's so simple, but it's so effective. Like, that's classic shonen to me. Like, very simple but shockingly effective storytelling, high emotion and high hype. It's why I like shonen so much. I said in a podcast once that my favorite kind of shows, or just my favorite anime in general, like everything in my top 10, is shows that are able to balance high hype with high emotion. Now, I will take a show that just has high hype, or a show that has high emotion, but if you can combine both, then you got a recipe for one very happy hobbit. And I am one very happy hobbit with this series. Dr. Stone really is just special. I don't know, there's something really fun about this series, really interesting, and really kind of has held my attention for the last couple weeks. I think it's just because of how much I like Tsukasa as a quote-unquote antagonist, because he is the antagonist. He's straight up murdering people, but you do understand him, you know where he's coming from, and you can almost sympathize with him to an extent. Like, I do understand why he's doing what he's doing. I don't agree, but I understand. And it's heartbreaking knowing that he doesn't want to do what he's doing. He doesn't like being the bad guy. He doesn't want to kill Senkuu. He doesn't want to kill Taiju. He doesn't want to kill anybody. Like Yuzuriya, anybody. He's just doing it because he knows in his heart that that's what he has to do, that he feels like he's right and they're wrong, and they're getting in the way. And he has this opportunity to make the world a better place as he sees it. It's not quite a better place. In fact, I'd say it would be significantly worse, and that Senkuu was right. But you understand where he's coming from. And Tsukasa, he's just a really interesting character. And especially in the aftermath of the Science Trio attack, after Senkuu is quote unquote dead, which we'll get into that, but just seeing Tsukasa watching these three, or these two, but technically these three, combat him, and just the way that it does nothing, and you see him looking like friggin' Sephiroth in the flames. It's just, they purposely go out of their way to make him a total badass, but at the same time, what I think separates him in my mind, or not even separates him, but just what makes Tsukasa shine brighter than other shonen antagonists, is the fact that he feels so personal. He feels like such a person. He feels like a genuine person. You understand his goals. You understand why he's doing what he's doing. And just the bond that he forms with the other two, it's just impressive. I wouldn't say he's as human as a villain as someone like, say, Kira from JoJo's. Kira from JoJo's is definitely like the hallmark of like, oh my god, this character is like amazing. You know this character as an antagonist, but you also know this character as just a human being, and you don't agree with him, and you think what he's doing is absolutely deplorable, but you almost kind of get why he is the way he is, and you have that with Tsukasa. It's not on the same level, I admit that. JoJo's is toppest tier, next level, but Tsukasa, it like almost touches upon that idea, and I think Dr. Stone is better for it. But it's not just Tsukasa, I'm sorry I gush about him like every week, but it's also the trio themselves. Taiju, Yuzuriha, and Senkuu. These three actually, even with Senkuu, quote unquote, from the grave, setting things up in a way that he knew that they would be okay. And it's funny because that opening scene, I knew in my heart of hearts there is no friggin' way that they were gonna kill Senkuu, because Senku's on all the promotional material. Senkuu is your Daryl Dixon. You don't kill them. So knowing this, I was sort of blown away by how emotional I got. Like, in fairness, if you're wondering why I'm about to delve into this, it's because these videos aren't necessarily a review. I want these videos to feel like you and I were sitting in the break room at work talking about anime, having a cup of tea or something. Like, that's what these are meant to be. And I've been kind of drained lately, like a little stressed out and just kind of feeling worn out. And I'm not like in a bad way emotionally, just mentally drained, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like emotionally okay, but I did need like a cry. And it was between this and I've been playing Fire Emblem recently, and I got to like I won't say, but a big specific scene in Fire Emblem. I'm tweeting about it probably right now. But I got to this scene and I was like, oh man, that was heavy. I gotta go, but I have to put it down now. I gotta go make a video on Dr. Stone. And I opened this episode up, and even though I knew Senkuu wasn't dead, it still got me to cry. Like, it was still like, oh. I think it's because even though I know there's no way they would kill Senkuu in a meta sense, right? Like, I know they don't kill Senkuu because A, he's clearly the main character, B, he's on all the promotion material, so even if he wasn't the main character, there's no friggin' way that they would kill him. Like, in a meta sense, I know he's not dead. But they don't know that. They don't know that in universe, so of course, I'm not necessarily mourning the loss of Senkuu, although his exit would have, if they had killed him there, I would have been like, damn, like it would have been a totally different show from there on out, but I would have been like, damn, that's a badass exit. Like, Senkuu does go out like a total boss if that's where he were to go out. But you know it's not. It's not that I'm mourning Senkuu, it's that I'm emotionally moved by how well they handled his supposed exit. Having Taiju like scream and like the Seiyu sells it so hard, like just this immense pain. Like, you can feel it in your gut, like when you hear Taiju like screaming, because it's like half scream, half cry, and it's like you can hear his voice like shake at times. It's so impressive. And Yuzuriha like being like uncomfortable in admitting that Senkuu died to protect her. Like, she doesn't want to admit that she's the reason Senku's gone, like, because that's how she sees it, but of course that's not how it was. Like, and on top of that too, it does lead into probably what I feel is the most Sherlockian moment of the season, probably because I'm not watching El Milio yet, or El Miloi, whatever that Fate series is. I'm not caught up on Fate Zero yet, so I can't watch it, although I'm sure I could. I don't know. So that would probably be the most Sherlockian moment of, like, anything from that show would be the most Sherlockian moment from the season. But in this case, it's this, because Senkuu, because I haven't seen it, it's got to be this. And it's Senkuu basically pulling a quote-unquote not dead moment on us. He basically pulls a Reichenbach fall on us just by, like, basically faking his death. He straight up pulls a Sherlock on us, makes us think that he's dead, but we know he's not, setting up things, but he sets up things in advance to make sure that if they can figure it out, if Taiju and Yuzuriha can figure it out, they can bring him back, they can save him. So it's not quite Sherlockian, but it's like, you know, he's setting up things in motion, faking his own death to escape from this Kobayashi Maru, this no-win scenario. I found it genuinely kind of impressive too, like just the way that they set it up, especially with Senkuu in the past saying like, there's that answer sucks. And it's the reason, like, both why I thought of Sherlock, but also why I thought of, in particular, the Kobayashi Maru from Star Trek, which is the no-win scenario. And Senkuu basically pulls a Kirk, just saying, like, I don't believe in the no-win scenario. You can save everybody. That book is nonsense. Like the book that they were like, if you had to pick blah, 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 who would you pick? And Senku's like, that's ridiculous. Pick everybody. And just that whole mentality of save everybody is so Senkuu. Like, it's funny because it is this mix of other media like that it reminds me of, but it's very much Senkuu in the idea of, no, save everybody. Of course you save everybody. Just, I don't know, make Senkuu a genuinely good dude despite his kind of zany, like, mad scientist persona. It just makes me like Senkuu all the more. That's not to say that I liked everything, though. I do have some things that I was like, on. And the biggest thing is as much as I thought it was neat seeing Senkuu build things up into what we see in episode 1. We see Senkuu like slowly building fire, slowly building tools, slowly building the fort, the clothes, like everything that we see from episode 1. But the monkeys got on my nerves big time. I just thought that joke, I thought the joke didn't land when they first were like, oh, it's a shiny monkey. I was like, okay, that's kind of dumb. I don't know why the monkeys are talking. That's weird, but like, okay, whatever. It's probably just a one-off joke. It is not. It goes for the entire episode. So I was like, oh, okay, that's the first time Dr. Stone's comedy didn't land with me. I was like, no, that's weird. I don't like that. And also, like, as much as I enjoyed seeing how Senkuu built everything up before we see Taiju, it went on too long. It just, for me, I just wanted to get back to what was happening in the first half of the episode. So for me, I just wanted to go back. Like, I just wanted to go to the present. So I was like, oh, I just, like, okay. Like, and I kind of, about like halfway through, I was like, oh my God, the flashback's going to take up the rest of the episode, isn't it? And then it did. And it's not a bad flashback. And it's just, I would have rathered have this like another time. Like, I didn't want to have it right now, you know? But that's just a personal gripe. And it's not even really like, I get why it had to be there. It's just, I just wanted to focus on the present instead of flashing back again. But it's not a big gripe, it's just something that kind of bugged me a little bit. With that said, though, everybody, I would be happy to give this episode a rating of B, a very strong B. It was really good, especially the first half. The first half really got me. But before I leave you guys, I do have to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon. And as you can see, we have a bunch of new people, in particular those in the Earl Grey tier: Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Dominic, Urza, No for Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Nye, Omner Garamond, Opinionated Slime, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Tristan, and Veridin. Thank you all so much for your continued support, both of those of you in the Earl Grey tier and those of you in the Orange Pico tier. This is all I want, like this is my goal, like this is what I want to do, and you guys taking the time to help support me and going out of your way to help support me, it really means a lot. And I just really wanted to take a second and genuinely say thank you big time. I really appreciate it. With that said, though, that is going to wrap up today's video. And if you enjoyed, then you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't going to tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated. And if you're feeling stressed out today, you go ahead and make yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you guys again real soon.